hearts recognize each other. Robert Chen had grown accustomed to solitude. At 46, the successful businessman sat in his wheelchair at the university's graduation ceremony, watching other families celebrate together. He was here to receive an honorary doctorate, recognition for his foundation's work in accessible education, but no one sat beside him in the designated family section. The accident 5 years ago had changed everything. Not just his legs, but the way people looked at him. Colleagues became distant. Friends found excuses to avoid visits. Even his ex-wife had quietly moved on, taking their shared dreams with her. As the ceremony concluded and families gathered, for photos, Robert prepared to leave quietly as he always did, but then he noticed her. A woman about his age was struggling with an elderly wheelchair, trying to maneuver her father closer to her graduating son. The young man in cap and gown looked embarrassed by the fuss, but his mother's face glowed with pride despite her obvious exhaustion. "Excuse me," Robert said, wheeling over. "Would you like some help?" Linda Morrison looked up, surprised. She'd noticed him during the ceremony, sitting alone despite clearly belonging to the honored guests section. Something about his solitude had tugged at her heart. "That's very kind," she said, brushing a strand of graying hair from her face. "I'm still learning how to manage Dad's chair. He had his stroke 6 months ago." Within minutes, Robert had helped position the wheelchair perfectly for photos. He even offered to take pictures so Linda could stand with both her son Marcus and her father. "Thank you so much, Mr. Robert. Just Robert. I'm Linda. This is my dad, Frank, and that's my son Marcus, our family's first college graduate." Something, in her voice, the mixture of pride and weariness that comes from carrying everyone else's dreams, touched Robert deeply. He recognized the look of someone who had sacrificed much for others. Would you like to join us for lunch?" Linda asked suddenly. Marcus chose this little diner nearby. Nothing fancy, but they make excellent pie. Robert hesitated. He hadn't shared a meal with anyone outside of business obligations in months. "I wouldn't want to intrude on your family celebration." "You wouldn't be intruding," Marcus said, surprising them both. "Mom's been taking care of everyone for years. It's about time someone looked after her for a change." At the diner, Robert found himself laughing for the first time in months. Frank, despite his limited speech after the stroke, had a wicked sense of humor. Marcus shared stories about growing up with a mother who worked 3 jobs to put him through school. And Linda listened to others the way Robert remembered his grandmother doing, with her whole heart. "What do you do, Robert?" she asked as they shared apple pie. "I run a foundation," he said simply. "We help make education more accessible for people with disabilities." He didn't mention the billions, the corporate empire, or the penthouse that felt more like a museum than a home. Somehow those things seemed less important here, surrounded by this family's genuine warmth. Over the following weeks, their friendship deepened naturally. Robert would visit Frank, bringing books and playing chess. He helped Marcus with job interviews, drawing on decades of business experience, and with Linda, he rediscovered the simple pleasure of conversation that mattered. "Why do you spend so much time with us?" Linda asked one evening, as they sat on her small porch, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. "You must have more important things to do." Robert was quiet for a long moment. "Do you know what I've learned?" he said finally. "Success means nothing if you have no one to share it with. You and your family. You've given me something I thought I'd lost forever." "What's that?" "A place to belong." Linda reached over and took his hand. "You know," she said softly, "I think we've been looking after each other all along." As summer deepened into autumn, Robert realized that the greatest gift wasn't wealth or achievement. It was finding people who saw past your circumstances to the person you truly were. In Linda's living room, helping Marcus prepare for job interviews while Frank beat him soundly at checkers, Robert had found something more valuable than any fortune. He had found home.